All right. Well, I'm super excited about today. I have Iselyn here with me. And Iselyn, thank you so much for being with me today. I am so excited about this conversation.
Thank you for inviting me.
Why don't you start by telling me and our listeners a little bit about your story?
So my story actually started when I was in high school. I went to school to be a practical nurse. I got that, which was different for kids in my time because most kids didn't care about studying in school and all that jazz, as they would say. Progressing forward, I became an RN, then a nurse practitioner. And I thought life was great. I'm having fun. We're doing this thing. You get to be 20, you have kids because that's what everybody thinks you should do. And then, you just progress upon what society thinks your life should be like. That came to a halt in 2006 when I got diagnosed with breast cancer, which put a different perspective on life. And I've just gone through, I call it the every 10-year motivational milestone, because every 10 years, women look at their lives and go, what the heck am I doing? So and true. You do something different. So breast cancer was the catalyst for me for that. And I moved to South Carolina 6 years ago, and I turned 60 last year. So I'm looking at my life going, what the hell are you doing? Okay. And then I decided to become a children's book author. So trying to balance all that stuff with grown kids and grandkids and working a full-time job. And now I'm just kind of looking at my life, sort of like looking out at the ocean, like the waves are going, but where we're riding at this point. I love
that. Yeah. Tell me what made you get into writing children's books. I see some of them behind you. So
yeah, I actually call it letting my passion, my purpose take me to my passion. So I've always liked doing maternal child, which is most of what my career has been. And I just decided one day I was going to write a children's book. I wrote a book about the questions parents always ask. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner. So when they come in from birth to 5, I did that book. I never published the book. And then I just one day couldn't sleep and decided to write this Mimi and Me series, because that's what my grandkids call me, Mimi. And it was actually a goal of mine to do something I've never done. So I challenged myself, but I have a friend who's a publisher, and we did the first book together, and then I did the other 2 by myself.
So. How did you get started doing that? So it's one thing to like have something that keeps you up in the night and it's like, I want to write a book, and you're inspired by your grandkids or the work that you're doing. But how did you go and actually take the first step? Like, what did you do?
What my friend Stephanie is like my biggest cheerleader. I don't care what I do. Stephanie always thinks it's the best shit ever. She always, I have heard another friend that's like, I'm down for the BS, but she always. So she's a publisher, and I was like, Steph, I want to publish this book, but I don't know how to do this. And so she's like, oh, I'll help you do it. And she helped me self-publish it. And so it was a fun ride, and we did it. And then the next 2, I'm like, I'm gonna do it by myself. But she's like, I'm a phone call away. And I actually did it. So the publishing journey, it's a lot, but she helped me every step of the way. She held my hand the first time, and then the other 2 times I was like, I'm going for it.
That's so exciting. Tell me what it's like. So you write it, you're hanging out with your friend. She's like, you're amazing. Let's do this together. Let's ride. You get it done and you see the final product. What is that moment like for you?
Girl, it was like the best orgasm ever. Okay.
Let's get to the jam. Yep.
Without a man.
Well, you don't need a man if you got a book. Jeez.
That's that, right? So, because it's one thing like for you to write that, but the steps you go along, you have to find an illustrator and then an editor and a formatter and all that to go with it. When I actually saw my first book in print, I was like, it's like a feeling. It's almost like if you have kids and you see a baby for the first time, like, oh my God, I created this baby. Wow. It's similar to that. Because it's like you're giving birth to something that really was a part of you, and you put so much energy in the process into it. And still now, like when I see them and I go places and people actually like my book and buy it, it's always that feeling all over again. Like when they're like, I love this book, and bookstores who are like, oh my God, we want to put this in the store. It's amazing. Wow. So my dream is I want to be sitting on the Today Show next to Hoda with that book one day going, look, I wrote this.
Yeah, we talked about this before. We're going to get her on the Today Show. I'm actually going to send this recording. Okay. Maybe we should have a campaign, like Iselyn on the Today Show, or
Hoda. I want to sit on that show with Hoda, and then I'm going to be like, I'll ever have to do anything else ever in life if I can sit there with her with that book.
Case closed.
Okay.
Tell me about your inner critic. Do you have a name for your inner critic, or are you just like, shut up, bitch? I mean, what do you say?
Shut up, bitch.
Yeah.
Yes. My inner critic is always like, just shut up, bitch. Because you know, there's always that I want to do this, and then
Yeah.
there's always like, I don't know if I can, or
Yeah.
people are not gonna like it, which is why every time I sell my book, I'm always like, you did this. It's like the first time all over again because I never thought I could do it.
Yeah.
I never did.
What is it inside you that kept you going? I mean, obviously it's nice to have a girlfriend who's a cheerleader cheering you on, and it certainly is icing on the top that she's a publisher and she knows how to help you, but you wanted to do it the second time by yourself. So what was that drive? Where does that drive come from?
That drive came from, I don't remember if we had a conversation before about my girlfriend who passed away from breast cancer. So the 8th will be 1 year of her death. And I always used to tell her she was the most humble person I've ever met in my life. I never ever heard her say a bad word, say anything about anybody. She was so sweet. She was married for 35 years and she never got to do one thing that she really in her heart ever wanted to do. Like some people say, well, I want to go to Dubai or Belize, and they go, or I want to, you know, whatever. She never did any of that. She didn't go to school, and not because her husband didn't let her, but she always put herself behind everybody else. Like before her kids, she's always wanted them to do, and she never did. So the last conversation I had with her, she said, there's so many things I wanted to do, and I feel bad because I ran out of time. And that really stuck with me. Like I had to hang up the phone and just cry, gut-wrenching cry, because I was like, when you think about it, like I'm 60, and when you think about it, if I lived 60 years and never did not one thing I ever wanted to do, that made me sad. And so, you know, I had a list of things, okay, I'm going to get this done. And when I decided I was going to write that book, I was like, I'm on it, like full speed ahead, gas to the pedal. I'm not going to let anyone or anything stop me from doing whatever it is I want to do from now on.
Did you have expectations in mind of what it was going to be like? And then, you know, as the process is unfolding and you take 5 steps forward and 2 steps back, like what expectations, if anything, did you place on yourself during that process, the book writing process?
I felt like it had to be something that with my grandkids, when I'm long gone from here, can see that book, they can feel who I was, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like they could read those pages and feel my energy, feel my love, feel the message I'm trying to get out to people. And if I can do that and leave that legacy for them, it kind of just gives me the warm and fuzzies, because I want them to be able to, sort of like the Maya Angelou effect, like she's gone and you can still, her words are still touching. So I want that.
Oh, I love that. I love how you moved it from your head to your heart is I want to make people feel something. Like anyone who knows who's writing a book, it sucks. It's hard. And it's, if you have a true mission and a true vision for what it is, you can't focus on the book sales. You got to focus on the message. And what you said, I think ring true. What are some obstacles that were in your way during the time of writing a book? Because you said you put your mind to it and you did it, but I'm sure life got in the way along the way.
Girl, life.
COVID, Black Lives Matter.
I started writing the book, and I was done with the book, and then I was looking for an illustrator. And at the time, my now separated husband decided that, you know, marriage vows was him, that he's supposed to have a girlfriend anyway. So that kind of just threw a whole big, you know, wrench into the plans, because we had only been married for 11 months. And it took me by surprise. Like I didn't see that coming. Wow. Which was a problem for me, because I'm a type A kind of person. And I always pride myself on being able to kind of vet people, so to speak. I didn't see it coming. So it kind of threw me into a depression. I was really sad, but trying to talk myself into, you're going to finish this no matter what. It was a dark road. It was a dark road. Was
it a revenge book? I mean, you know,
it wasn't a revenge book. It was, no, because I set out I'm going to do this before that happened. So it wasn't really a revenge book, because part of me was like, I need to put this on hold because I had to deal with my emotions with that. But then the other part of me was like, you promised yourself you wouldn't let people stop you from what you're doing. So I just refused to allow that to be what stopped me. Like if I got ill, it was in the hospital, that's one thing. But because you're sad about somebody who can't do what they're supposed to do, that wasn't a big enough reason for me. I always tell people, you can be mad, but you don't gotta be stupid. So
I love that advice. It's true. It's easy, but it's true.
Yeah.
This season's all about women game changers. And when I first met you, I mean, you struck me immediately as a game changer. Although you went through a dark time and you were blindsided, most women who are game changers have been blindsided at one or the other. It's how you pick your shit off the ground and move forward. So tell me a little bit about what advice would you give to our listeners or to your younger self or your grandkids about when you're blindsided or something, life smacks you across the face, whether it's COVID or Black Lives Matter or, you know, Wade versus Roe being like taken out from under us? Like what do you do? Like, what are the steps that you take to turn around and smack it back right back in the face?
You got to find I call it your happy place. And you got to find a place, you know, that saying that says you got to grow where you're planted. That part is true, but I feel like you got to plant your own shit. Like if you got to dig your own hole and put your own seed in it, you have to. You can't let things and people stop you. You do got to take a moment though. Like I had to get off that train. I had to go talk to people. I tell teenagers all the time, if you feel like life is hitting you hard, you got to find somebody to talk to, counselors, whatever. And the best thing is to talk to somebody who doesn't know you.
Yes.
They can't judge you.
So you can be true. You can be honest.
Right. You can put your feelings on the road. But I always tell them the best thing for you to do is talk to somebody, because that's how people still are alive in my life.
Yeah.
You gotta. I was just telling the kid this yesterday at work. There's a artist that I listen to, and I can't remember. Life Jennings. He has a song that says, "Crying is like taking your soul through the laundromat."
Ooh,
and it's very true.
Yes.
So you do have to find the things that's going to take your soul through the laundromat, so your body can continue the task. So yeah.
Yeah, I got to sit in that for a minute, because I'm such a clean freak. So I was like, man, that resonates with me.
Yeah, you do. So I like the beach. I like reading. I do stuff that make me happy. And a lot of times I just sit and reflect on myself. I'll go out and look at the water and just be like, okay, God, I know you always got messages for me, but this chick right here is tired of your shit. Like, I'm tired of the messages. I can't. I need a break from all this. You just got to take a moment, but don't let it derail you. Get back on the train, do what you got to do, and take your moment when you need to.
Talk to me a little bit about growth, right? So women and men are listening to this podcast, and they're in their 20s, they're in their 30s, their 40s, 50s, 60s. We have a 102-year-old listen, by the way.
Good girl.
And, you know, at different phases and stages in your life, it's a different season, right? You're going through different stuff. Talk to me a little bit about your mantra. When you see that like thread go through your life, what has that mantra been for you? What is it, something that you have repeatedly said to yourself through the decades of your life?
I always say, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get somewhere, keep going. You can't, stuff happens, crap happens to people every single day. There's always another way to do it. So you can get on American Airlines, you can get on JetBlue, all of them are going to get you to Puerto Rico if that's where you want to go. Find another route. You can. It may not be the easiest route, but there's several different ways to get someplace. Take a moment, breathe, find another way to get it done.
I love that. Choosing another route. I think we talk a lot on this program about societal expectations, what you should do. You should get married. You should have 2.5 kids. You should get a house. You should have 2 homes. And now it's not enough to just be a nurse. You got to write a book. You got to have a side hustle, and you need to be baking your own shit and making your own meals. Like,
okay,
who is Superwoman?
Not just yours. So everybody else's, and then yours. You get to eat last. They got to eat first.
You got to work out. But
okay.
Talk to me a little bit about those expectations that others have for you versus expectations that you have for yourself, and being a successful, strong, influential Black woman. Talk to me about those expectations that you feel like you should be doing, and the things that you're rising to meet, and then exceeding those expectations. So like, what's that kind of sandwich of Iselyn like?
You know, that's an interesting question, because I just like a month ago decided that I put it this way. I said to myself, I'm the person that always gives people the benefit of the doubt. Like, no matter what you do to me and the stuff I feel like you should do, because this is how I feel like I'm in life. And at this point, there's no more benefit. There's just doubt until you prove to me there's a benefit. So I'm the one that people go to, you need help or whatever, but I don't get that back. Like, when you're a type A person, you're the one who gives 120%. Yes. You don't get 120% back to people, but the lesson you have to learn, and hopefully the 20 and the 30-year-olds will learn this, life is going to be so much easier for you if you don't expect people to treat you how you treat them.
Yes.
And I've always be like, I let people be who they are. Outside of letting you do crazy crap to me, I let you live in who you are. But I'm finding that doesn't work, because people with big hearts always get crapped on. And so now I'm like, once you show me that something that I don't think I want a part of my life, you're done. I'm cutting you off.
That
I can't do that anymore.
that is so true, Iselyn. I think that I hate these stupid sayings like, you know, mindset is everything, or believe it and it'll happen, or the cliche shit that's on Instagram all day long. The other one is treat people as they would treat you, right? Or
Yeah.
you treat people other, whatever the saying is. I love what you said about your prove it, right?
Right.
Be who you are, stand in your power, but like show me too, right?
Right.
I'm going to give you 120%, and you're not going to expect 120% because you're not getting it. Like
Right.
it just is what it is.
You just have to me now, I've learned you just have to give people what they give you. I had a friend I was friends with for 42 years, and I don't speak to her anymore. I haven't spoken to her in a year and a half. And she did something really dirty to me. And then when I confronted her on it, she was like, well, everybody doesn't view friendship differently. And I was like, you know what? You're right.
Bye-bye.
And yeah. So I don't talk to her anymore because I don't view friendship as someone who would do this to somebody else. And I was never that person. I'm becoming that person because people take advantage of good-hearted people because they feel like no matter what happens, oh, she'll always be there because that's the type of friend she is.
Yes.
Well, I'm not always there anymore. And then the relationships, I'm gonna be like Oprah. I'm gonna have me a statement. We don't need to be married. You live in your house, I live in mine. It's Wednesday, dude. You got to go home because
You're not into the husbands and the boyfriends and girlfriends. Yeah.
It's
not party of 3, it's party of 2.
There you go. Reservations for 2, not 3. So you learn life lessons, teaches you things, but you got to be careful not to be like a bitter person or someone who's like, oh, I hate this or I hate that. I don't hate anything. I just have different choices that I'm going to make in life for me to make me happy.
Would you say right now, I mean, throughout the journey, right, you live a colorful life versus a black and white technicolor life, right? So when you moved from kind of your career, day job, and you certainly love being a nurse, right? I mean, that was your passion for a long time. And now shifting to being an author and living in your creativity and living in your passion, like you said, passion and vision, right? So what would you say your life is like now compared to old kind of black and white thinking, like the regular should job, the regular day job?
So now, as you say, my life is more colorful because I'm a nurse practitioner. So I call it my day job. I get to talk to kids. A physical given by me is not your typical physical because it's not like you come in and you got to get undressed. I got to check you out. But I'm asking you, what are your grades like? Like sometimes kids who've never seen me look at me like, you want to know what my grades are? Yeah, dude, I do. Because if you're failing at this point in life in school, you're going to be homeless and hungry for every F you have, because what you're doing now is what you're going to do as an adult. So if you're lazy and you're not passing stuff, if your boss gives you a job and says, I need this done by Friday, if you would hand it in your homework assignments by Friday, you're not going to do that by Friday. So I try to get them to see this is preparing you for the adult that you're going to be later on. So yeah, you do got to answer those questions for me. You got to tell me why you're not handing your assignments. What the hell are you doing all day? Playing games for what? So, and that's how I talk to them. What you doing? Do you have a job? It teaches you time management. You gotta get your homework done because you know you gotta be at work at 5 o'clock. So, I try to prepare them for that. So it's fun. Like I do the fun talks. We talk about, are you having sex? How many partners do you have? You like boys or girls? And they like boys or girls. I'm living life, bro. I'm just telling you what it's like out here. And then I come home and I have the other part where I write the children's books. But I get to see the kids from birth to teenage years. So that interaction with them is a lot of fun. And then outside, I do pop-up events. I go to schools and I talk to kids with the books I wrote that are fun. So it's real colorful and it's fun on both aspects, although tiring sometimes.
I bet that's a fun physical. They're probably like, oh man, we have to get our temperature checked, and she's gonna read us the riot act.
These kids are funny, and I be laughing because sometimes I come in the corner, the parents are like, Ms. Hamilton don't play right. You better stop playing. So I'm like, because my favorite line to them is, don't play with me.
I love it. Talk to me about one patient or one student, or trying to be confidential, of course, but like that really changed your life.
Ooh, who really changed my life?
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking them questions, their answers are hilarious. So is there like something that a kid said to you?
Yeah. So I had a kid when I worked in Tampa. The mom had a bunch of kids. Like every year she'd have a baby. It was her thing to do. Yeah, she had a lot of kids. And so she came in one day, I always ask some questions about school. And I was like, okay, so, how's school? The little boy, he was probably 5 or 6 at that time. And she said, I'm homeschooling. And so I said, you're homeschooling? You homeschooling all these kids? The little boy said, yeah, my daddy said she doubles a box of rocks. He don't know why. I was like, okay. Can we not tell what daddy says when you come to the doctor? We don't keep that a secret.
Oh my God. Have you thought about writing a book about a nurse, or, the relationship that you've been able to have with your patients and also students? I mean, they brought so much levity into your life. I mean, that's like a comedy book.
It is, girl. It would be a bestseller. I can promise you that if I wrote down some of the stuff these kids said. I always joked about doing it, but not really.
I think it's an idea. I think you should do it.
Yeah. It needs to be a comedy show on TV.
Totally.
It's a mess.
What's been the brightest spot for you during COVID? I always how I am. I'm super positive. Like COVID's been shitty, right? I mean, it just has. But what has been the brightest spot for you? If you could think, gosh, that's my shining moment, or that touched my life, that made an impact on me this year.
I think the brightest spot for me during COVID was actually being able to publish my first book during COVID. Because I think if COVID wasn't around, I probably would not have gotten to do that, because the pieces of the puzzle wouldn't have been in place.
Yep.
Like my friend Stephanie, she was doing her publishing stuff before COVID, but when COVID hit, her company became so busy that she had like a waiting list for a year and a half out for children's books. And so because she was in her mode of I'm cranking this, she was way more helpful to me than I thought she could ever be. And I think that had a lot to do with COVID and her business taking off and her being so happy about, as she calls it, birthing her literary baby. So I think that was the bright spot for me, because it's taken me a whole never thought I would be. And I've met some amazing people along the way. So it's been a good ride for me.
Tell me about connecting with other women, right? So right now is really a purposeful of lifting each other up and lifting women up, and no longer just having one seat at the table. There needs to be multiple seats, and it can't be climbing over each other to get to the seat.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the connecting with other women and what you've learned this year, and as an author, and promoting a book's not easy, getting it out there, selling, and the power of when women lean into each other and like literally band together as a community. Talk to me a little about your experience around that.
South Carolina is different than when I was in Tampa. In Tampa, I have really amazing friends, and I call them boss bitch friends. Like my friends are not to be played with. When they're gonna do something, they do it 100% and always supporting. I recently just Sunday had a meeting with a new group of women here that I didn't even think existed here, and she called the organization When I See My Sister. And yeah, it was amazing. So the girl who did it wanted to meet other business women. And I did a pop-up event on Saturday, and she invited me to come to the meeting on Sunday. Girl, when I tell you, it was amazing. Like we had a girl there who makes her own herbs. She works for a local restaurant. Wow. And she didn't have an aha moment until somebody said to her, she was making the herbs for the restaurant to sell to their customers, but she wasn't getting any of the money. And one person was like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you not selling it? It's one thing if they're selling it and they're giving you a cut. No, she wasn't getting any of it. So she decided to branch out, do it herself, but she sells her own herbs now. She doesn't sell it. She don't let them sell them. Definitely. So it was a group of women like that. And so, I feel like when you get together and you get with other like-minded women and you can help each other, like you can say, hey, I know this person who does this. You need to check her out and do that. It's amazing, because it's not like the crabs in a barrel kind of thing, but it's actually, I want to see you succeed, because there's enough for everybody out here. And I like those type of women. Yeah,
I love that story about asking that question. Why? You're talented, like light on. Why aren't you doing this for yourself? Like, why are you letting someone else take your power, take your herbs?
Like you busting your butt at home, making this up, packaging it and everything. They sell it at the counter and you get no quarters.
You hear that so much. I mean, we hear that around the world, and we hear that from any women business networking, and you experience that in corporate America, right?
Yeah.
You're doing the work and nobody is acknowledging it, and we get paid less, right?
And I think it's important that as women, we have to support each other. So like if I go to an event and there's women there, I go around and I buy something from everybody. I don't care if it's a chapstick that you're selling. I'm buying one thing from everybody who's a woman there. Even if I don't need it, I can give it away to somebody, but I'm gonna support you.
I love that. Yeah, right now, I think I went to a marketplace for women and everyone was selling candles, and I have like so many candles. Yeah. I'm like, I light those things every night. I'm like, I hope this is helping.
Christmas gift.
Exactly.
It's your birthday, here, have a candle.
If we were to leave the legacy today of Iceland, what do you hope to accomplish in your life? Now, take out the Today Show because we know that we're going to be on a separate campaign for that. But like one more legacy. What is your hope and your accomplishment? If something were to happen tomorrow.
I hope that there is at least one person, if there's only one person whose life I touch and they are successful, they move forward in doing something they thought they never could do, that they did because of something I said to them. And maybe not even just said, but because of how they looked at me and was like, I can do this because she encouraged me to do so. So, Kirk Franklin has a song that's called The Last Jesus. And it's like, if you were the last Jesus I see, what do I see? So if I'm the last person you see, what did you see to make you want to be a better person?
Ooh,
that's the legacy I want to leave.
I love that. Ooh, that sounds like another good children's book idea. Like, seriously, as asking kids, like, what do you want to be remembered for? Like, what did you see? What did you see? What do you see in me? Love it. Oh, I love the collaboration ideas. Good. All right. Well, thank you so much. Now I'm going to move on to 2 questions. This is kind of a fun one. If you entered a talent show, what would your act be?
Well, I can't sing with the damn, so it won't be that. Maybe comedy. I don't know.
I think so.
I like to say funny, quirky stuff off the top of my head.
I think you should be a comedian. Yeah. I can see you up there. As long as no one jumps the stage and does
okay. I'm not trying to get slapped because I'm from Brooklyn. I'm gonna slap you back.
Oh
I'm not
my
gonna
God.
There will be no calm demeanor. I promise you that.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. But okay, so if you knew that you could not fail, what leap of faith would you take?
I would quit my job tomorrow, my real job tomorrow, and tour the country doing children's books and motivating women.
Love it. Well, you're on your way. I mean, truly, you're on your way to doing it. Yeah.
We used to go to this thing called African American Women on Tour. With Ayanna Van Zant was part of it like years ago. Yes. And I would love to do something like that, except I would like to call it Boss Bitches on Tour.
Ooh.
And motivate young girls. Like we could teach them stuff they need to know, how to manage your money so you never have to depend on anybody. I hate women who are like, I have to stay in this relationship because I don't have the money. You should always have your own way out. Always have an exit. And so it would be something like that I would love to be able to do.
Do it. I mean, do it.
Yeah.
Go big.
That's what I really would love to do that.
Michelle Obama's got some grants happening. You got to get in there.
I'm gonna have to check it out because I really want to do that. Yeah, here we go.
So, okay, we've got Today's Show for Iselyn and we've got Michelle Obama and they're going on tour to try to change lives. I mean, it's not trying to change lives. It's changing lives.
Going to change lives.
Giving them the tools. I think that's what it comes down to. I think. And
how to use them, because it's one thing to give it to you, but how do I put this in place? How and why? Because if you don't know the why of why you're doing something, you don't do the how. So if you know why, like I don't ever want to be enslaved to anyone. I always want to be my own person regardless. Now, the flip side to that coin is successful women don't have great relationships because men usually want you to be the little damsel in distress. And if you're not a damsel in distress, you're out of the same playing field, it becomes hard. But hey,
we've got 2 ideas for you now. It's got some children's book ideas, and now we've got the Iselyn on tour.
Okay.
I'll put it on ice.
Okay.
Thank you so much, my friend, for being a guest today. I always love talking to you.
Welcome.
Absolutely inspiring. For those of you, please check out her books. We'll attach the link on the show notes. But thank you so much for joining me. You are absolutely
I love talking to you.
Yeah, woman game changer. Woman game changer. We should take this shit on the road.
Okay, that's gonna be the name of the show. Let's take this shit on the road.
Have a good day, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks.